Hi, welcome to the reading for the month of October. I'm Taryn Sydow, for those of you that don't know me, from Surrender to Your Soul. And as I said last month, I'm going to be doing a reading each month where I'll connect with my guides and bring forward some messages that can support all those that are drawn to watch this video or be connected to the energy that I work with in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to be pulling 3 cards for October. October is a month of transformation. It's a month where we get to start taking action around some of the things that we've been dreaming around. You would have experienced in last month a bit of a void, and you would have seen that in the cards, and things shifting and releasing, time to embrace your fears and to look at what it is that you're wanting. And October brings forward this energy of creativity and manifestation and allowing that which you desire to come forward to you. So I'm going to be pulling 3 cards and bringing forward 3 messages. The first message is going to be a message for healing. So the way you can think of this card is anything in your life where you require healing energy, whether that's physically, emotionally, whether it's a relationship, whether there's a concept in your life you need healing with, whatever it is where you require a healing type of energy to support you, the first card is going to be a healing message. The second card is going to be a card for anywhere where you're looking to grow, that somewhere in your life where you're looking to shift and make changes and grow into a more potentialized version of yourself. We're constantly evolving and expanding and growing, and so this is the card that supports you in the steps and the actions to take in your own personal growth. And then the third card is going to be a card for enlightenment. What I mean by enlightenment is about bringing forward light to the consciousness. Light is this ability to not only bring light to things. So if you imagine a globe that illuminates areas of focus in our lives and the lives of others and in the world as a whole, but also a feeling of lightness, that we take things too seriously, that there is joy and purpose and freedom in this lifetime, an experience of loving that and walking with lightness, so that we can start to make a contribution in the steps that we take each day. And so those are going to be the 3 cards that I pull forward. Feel free to adapt them to the situations in your world that are most meaningful and make the most sense for you. So right, I'm just going to pull the cards, and I'm going to call forward my guides and ask that only that which serves the highest good for anybody who watches this and me and humanity as a whole comes forward for us today. Okay, so there's the first card, that's the healing card. The second card, which is the growth card. And there's the third card, the enlightenment card. For those of you that are wondering, these are the cards that I've created through my own connection with spirit, and the cards that I use in the sessions that I do, the healing sessions that I do, where I channel messages forward for you. Right, so, how beautiful. So this is the healing card. And the card here is let joy be your guide. And as I was just talking about in terms of taking the steps of lightness, joy is the sort of lighthouse. It's the compass that we have. And every soul comes to earth with one purpose, and that purpose is the purpose of joy. Now, joy is often misunderstood. Joy is spoken about as something that we confuse with excitement and happiness. And those that get my weekly message from Spirit would have seen a little bit of information around this last week, because this was the card that was there, is that joy is not to be confused with happiness. Happiness comes and goes. Think of joy as like the ocean, and emotion is like the waves of the ocean. We can be angry for a time, sad for a time, happy for a time. But constantly we can have joy. Joy can be compared to the words of stillness, peace, resonance, a sense of expansion. And so joy is a quiet feeling. it's not a feeling, it's not always this energetic, passionate feeling. And sometimes we also confuse joy with excitement, thinking that excitement is what I need to follow. We actually sometimes need to be quite comfortable in our boredom, in our stillness, and not constantly chasing shiny, bright newness and going after everything that entertains us and excites us and interests us. This is, you can think of this with people you meet, is that the people you meet, those that actually bring you to a place of stillness are more useful for you than those that bring you to that excited place. And so it's not to say excitement or happiness or any of these things are wrong. It's just useful to know the distinction, because excitement can also be driven by adrenaline as opposed to by intuition. And we need to kind of step back and get to know our bodies well enough to know what is adrenaline and what is intuition. Intuition leads us to joy. Adrenaline leads us to distraction and drama and protection. And so the adrenal fatigue that so many of us, and I see it in so many of my clients, are experiencing is because of the addiction to adrenaline, to new. And it comes from a place often of intellectual stimulation and fear being the combination that takes the body physically into adrenal expression. And this adrenaline becomes the excitement, becomes the fuel that we use to live our lives. And so this card is really calling you to slow down, strangely enough. Is to find your joy, you need to be able to sit in stillness. And to be able to sit in stillness, you need to make peace with the concept of boredom. The guides often show this to me as, can you shift from drama to boredom to creativity, if you had to use those as a continuum. And if we look at boredom as this middle passage between drama and creativity, drama being the adrenaline focused expression of trying to protect myself or entertain myself or interest myself. Boredom is the stillness and peaceful place, quiet place where we can go into it. And then on the other side of stillness, it's almost like you step into a portal and then divine inspiration hits. And divine inspiration is these thoughts and ideas that drop into you and move your spirits. And as your spirits move, that's the information to take action. And that is what joy is. That is the connection to joy. So without stillness, it's really hard to truly know what joy is for you. So that's the healing card for the month of October. Remember, I said the month of October is a month of creativity and manifestation. And so in order to heal anything in your life, there's pull back, get still. What's inspiring you? The word inspiration is when your spirit gets moved. And so how do you step into this movement of your spirit? There's a beautiful Rumi quote, and it's I'm not going to say it very well now, but it's aligned to joy is it's like the river of your soul running through you. I haven't said it very well, but the concept is there. You can look at it. Okay, so the next card that I pull is the card for growth. And this card is one, so you can think of any area in your life where you're trying to become I don't like saying it become more, because that implies there's something wrong with you today, but it's where you're wanting to have a better impact, where you're wanting to step more into your true potential and align yourself with your highest and greatest good. And the card that's coming forward for this is Judgment Keeps You Separate. Now, if you have a look at this card and you see this word judgment, and you'll see there's two parts to this. One side is this mandala of oneness, and here is this repetitiveness of separateness. There's all these boundaries. Everything's in its little box, and it's all separate, but everything fits together. And judgment is this almost a natural human condition we have to try and make sense of our world, to try and help us cope with an overwhelming amount of information and and sometimes pain even. And so we analyze and we put things into these boxes, and then we start to equate some of these boxes as being good or bad, right, wrong. You like them, don't like them. And all of this judgment keeps you in analysis, and it keeps your heart very separate and closed from the expansion of joy. Think about it from this perspective. If I meet somebody and the initial thing I'm doing is, are they good or are they bad? Are they right or are they wrong? Do I like them? Don't I like them? All these questions that keep you separate from the experience of connecting with the person and allowing your intuition to guide you again as to whether this is a healthy connection for you or not. And there are unhealthy connections, but your intuition would say, walk away. And so then you can walk away. But you don't have to not like someone to walk away. It's a different, peaceful feeling. And so judgment keeps you very separate from embracing your life. Now, judgment's also about that inner critic. The criticism that we have around our own behavior, of our own behavior being right and wrong and good and bad. And realize good is as much of a judgment as bad is. So if I had to walk around and say, I was good today, I did well today, that's as judgmental of myself, because I can't rest. It's like this little auditor watching me continuously and saying, you're not good enough, you need to be monitored and checked up on. And so healing and growth happens when we can surrender into the peacefulness of you're doing the best you know how to do. You can always make new choices, and choice is a powerful tool to inform your growth. But when you're in judgment, you're so critical and analytical of yourself that you don't allow yourself to just see what needs to be seen. And there's this beautiful magic. It's quite mesmerizing, really. When we just look at what it is, it transforms. And when you can look at it without judgment, with love, it just transforms into something that you can take. So if you had to think about this and take something about yourself that you are in judgment of, and just for a minute, look at it with love, with a sense of, okay, I see you. And as you see it, just allow it to offer what it's trying to give you. And maybe it's not doing a very good job in your life. Maybe jealousy doesn't serve you very well. Maybe, being angry doesn't always serve you. But there's something it's offering you. And when you can just see it with love, there's this alchemy, there's this transformation, there's just this compassion and kindness. And when we grow from a place of compassion, we grow much easier than when we come from a place of criticism and from a place of judgment. So judgment is not a way to ensure you have boundaries. The way to ensure you have boundaries is by having a very high sense of self and saying, this serves me, this doesn't, this is good for me, this isn't. And I can say no and walk away from anything or anyone that's not good for me without becoming critical and judgmental of them. So judgment keeps you separate is the card for October in terms of looking at your own growth. And so then when we get to the card of enlightenment, the card that is the calling for how do we step into walking in light more. As individuals, we get this opportunity to make an impact everywhere we go. If you're walking in the shopping center, you have an energy blueprint that you bring into that. The way you walk, the way you look at people, the way you greet people, the way you don't. Everything has an energetic frequency. Spirit call it your pulse. It's like this. It's the frequency with which you impact the world. And when you can walk with light, we call that the light walker, you can have an impact to raise the frequency wherever you are. And this doesn't mean being perfect. It's actually in your own vulnerability and in your own authenticity that you're able to truly get to that place. So it's not a call to perfection. It's a call to real. It's a call to honest. It's a call to compassion. It's a call to notice. We're so stuck often in our own world that we don't participate in life with a contribution. And this really calls us to look at what's the part we play in co-creating the reality that we're living in. We're often trying to figure out how to fix the world and how to change other people and how to do things. But if you can look at your world and the people you impact, what is the impact you have? What's it like to be on the receiving end of you? What's it like to listen to you? What's it like to be entertained by you or experienced by you? And these are very useful questions to bring you to a perspective of light walker. Now, there's light walker as a sharing is something that I've been guided to start bringing a lot more consciousness to, is the difference between being a light worker and a light walker. A light worker is somebody, very importantly, who steps into their work with light. And so when they step in, they do their work very well. They do their work from a place of compassion and kindness and joy and serenity and peace. But when they step out of their work, do they stay in walking in light? Again, this is not about being perfectionist. This is not about, this is not about suppressing your heartbreak and your anger and your jealousies. It's not about suppressing. It's about integrating and becoming whole and bringing more and more love to yourself so that you have a pulse that radiates love and peace and joy to the world. And you are your greatest gift to life. You are here for a reason. You're here and you make a difference. You make an impact. The question is just, what impact are you having? And so the card that's come forward for this is have faith. Now, the reason this is a very powerful card is because from a spirituality perspective, we really need to integrate our connection with God, with the divine, and not hold our own distortions and pain and resentments of anything that we have that's got to do with our faith, our connection with God, as something that is separate to us. If I had to be very clear around this, I see this with a lot of my clients, is their own experience of man expressing themselves in some religious context has made them reject anything to do with religion. And there's nothing wrong with religion. We all have our own choices as to how we walk home. Remember the second card of dropping judgment. So any calling you have to any way to connect with the divine, with God, with source, with the universe in you, and to celebrate your faith at being one that can co-create with the divine, you can do that in whichever way resonates for you. And who's anyone to say which is the right way and which is the wrong way? We're all entitled to our own connection points. The important part of it is connecting to love, connecting to God, connecting to source, and bringing forward that energy, whether that's through a Jesus energy or through a Buddha energy or through a halal, whatever. It doesn't matter. There are so many names for the God that we all celebrate, but the commonality is an unconditional love and true connection and oneness. And so I'm not going to go into all the names because there's no point into it. And so faith is about a relationship with the divine. Where's your practices that connect you to your own truth, to your own heart? And your heart is an expansion of the God energy. If it's about walking with Jesus or Mother Mary or any of the energies, it's this energy of love and compassion. And so faith is a calling to connect back to this divine source of magic. And your practices for that, the rituals, whether your ritual is walking in nature, whether your ritual's meditation, whether your ritual's prayer, whether your ritual's dance or song, whether your ritual's church, whether your ritual is journaling, whether your ritual, whatever your rituals are, your practices are to stay connected to the divine in you. If it serves you and takes you to a place of dropping judgment and finding your joy, being the other two cards that came up today, well, then it serves the greatest good for you and everybody around. And so those are the callings for October. Those are the messages for October. If you feel that this resonates for you, then please subscribe for future months and feel free to share it out with any friends that you have. If it doesn't resonate with you, well, then that's perfectly okay. There's no need to agree or disagree to anybody's perspective. It's an offering, and I hope that it serves in the way that it needs to for those that want it. For the month of October, I'm very excited in terms of my own expansion. There's a lot happening in my own world in terms of offering new courses and trainings to those that want it. And a new course that I'm running in October is on the 21st and 22nd of October is Healing Your Relationship with Money and Embracing How to Work with the Law of Abundance. So if that resonates with you, there's still a few spots left as of this time. Feel free to contact me on Taryn@surrendertoyoursoul.com, and I will see you there. Otherwise, I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you next month. Take care.